Hello and welcome back to a new episode of Tactician, the Civil War, where we are playing the Union career mode. Last episode we fought in the massive battle of Long Bridge, where we suffered a minor defeat. Casualties were high on both sides, but a lack of coordination stopped any chance for a Union victory. There are also two lessons learned from this fight though. First, our corps commander doesn't seem fit for the job, and we will soon need to take over command to better coordinate our divisions. Second, the Union is in desperate need of soldiers. The politicians need to come up with something to get more volunteers, or they need to draft people, otherwise we are starting to bleed out. But all of this can only be resolved in the future, so let's focus on the present for now. Currently we are doing our best to get our soldiers out of contact and to get into Washington itself to protect our capital from the Confederate invasion. We can see that the 2nd Division has withdrawn and that the army of the Shenandoah is marching forward together with Gregg's division and the army of Northern Virginia. We can see that the 2nd Division and the 1st Division are still on the field to the south of Alexandria, and our soldiers themselves try to get forward. Depending how strong the Confederate attack is going to be, we will need to abandon Washington as we are going to be completely outnumbered. But there's also something that I wanted to have a look at. During the first year of this conflict, we desperately tried to get our soldiers equipped with better weapons, but most of the time none were available. And while looking through our available projects, I found that we could finance a mass production of Springfield rifles. This, however, was not started by the government yet. And it is going to take about 1,600 of our prestige points so that we can lobby for this project to be enacted. Let's hope that with this step taken, soon there are going to be a lot more weapons available for our forces. And if we take a look on the Union States policies, we can see that they're working on a further military reform. I hope that this will also lead for more volunteers for our frontline. And we have now received the news that the Confederate government enacted a new funding policy. There's going to be a high focus on the Confederates' economy and they're printing new dollar bills. And they might also start to increase higher tariffs on import goods. Now we can see that the Union Army is withdrawing further into Washington proper. And thanks to the Union Hospital in the area, our soldiers are going to recover a lot quicker from their injuries. And when we take a look on our soldiers, we can see that the 1st Division is down to 1,080 soldiers, while our 2nd Division is down to 1,200 men. The 1st New Jersey Militia now only has 290 soldiers, while the 2nd only has 170 men less. The 3rd New Jersey State Militia suffered even worse and now only has 150 men ready for duty, and the 4th has luckily still 450 soldiers ready to serve. Still, no better weapons are available for all soldiers who are armed with the Springfield musket. Within our New Jersey Brigade, the 2nd New Jersey is down to 312 men and the 3rd New Jersey is down to 139. The 41st New York only has 181 soldiers still alive, and the 1st Kentucky is our largest regiment with over 630 soldiers. And if we take a look on our artillery, I was luckily able to upgrade some of our guns. After the fight, we only had 6-pounder field guns available, but luckily there were enough 12-pounder Napoleons to equip the 2nd New Hampshire Battery and the 3rd New Hampshire Battery. But the 2nd New Hampshire Battery was also sent home to replenish, as they only have 1 artillery piece available and they're pretty much out of soldiers. The 2nd District of Columbia Battery still has a 6-pounder field gun, as no better weapons were available for them. We can see that the 4th Division for some reason has decided to cross, even though I haven't given this order. Man, you're going to get back into Washington. What are you thinking you're going to do here? Okay, we finally made it into Washington, and I'm going to order our soldiers into a defensive stance. And we have now received the news that Napoleon III is trying to conquer Mexico. More troops are on their way, and the French fleet is blocking the coast. Let's hope that this conflict is not going to boil over into our own battle lines. As time progresses, we can see that a lot of our sick soldiers are getting back into our lines, and the Confederates started a new supply depot near Alexandria after we burned down the last one. We can see that the Department of We can see that the Department of Pennsylvania and the 3rd Division have withdrawn to Manassas Railroad Junction, and that the 2nd Division is garrisoning along this fort. More of our forces are still in the Fredericksburg area, but are unwilling to move. Luckily, there's some good news in the Trans-Mississippi Theater. There was a battle fought near Elkhorn Tavern, and the Union was victorious. The Confederates are driven to Arkansas, and Missouri is soon going to be under Union control. We can see that the Army of Virginia is marching further to the west. And when we take a look on the entire battlefield, we can see that some of our forces are still holding up in the northwest. Otherwise, not much is happening on the field. We have finally received some good news on the abolishment of slavery. Union forces are now barred from returning anyone back into slavery. This means that abolitionists are of course cheering, while there's massive uproar in the South. And to make sure that we can better lead our soldiers, we are going to start training to be an infantry specialist. Lloyd's division has withdrawn further to the west, and they are now starting to engage the Department of Pennsylvania. They outnumber our friends, but maybe Major General Winfield Scott is going to be able to repel the Confederate attackers. This would be a much needed victory. And we can see that the 1st Division is starting to withdraw to us together with more of our forces, meaning that we might soon be going on the counterattack. Yes, our soldiers are approaching. But let's get the movement out and hope that we can reach the battlefield in time. And it looks like this time the Union Army is actually at an advantage. The Confederates have 12,900 soldiers and 1,100 cavalrymen as well as 13 artillery pieces, while the Union Army has 14,000 soldiers, 1,600 cavalrymen and 29 guns. And maybe when our soldiers can get the move on, we will be able to join this fight. But our men are absolutely not ready for a massive engagement. The Army of Virginia is coming up. Their soldiers might turn the tide. Come on, men, at least move forward. We need to support our friends. While it looks like we are unable to join this battle as our readiness is so low that we are unable to enter enemy territory. Let's simply hope that this is not going to... Luckily, our soldiers were not needed in this fight. We can celebrate a victory at Alexandria, and the army of the Shenandoah is in retreat. Support for the rebel cause finally starts to waver, as we achieved this much needed breakthrough. It is a real shame that our soldiers are unable to participate though. Soon, however, our soldiers are back in fighting shape, and once our condition has started to rise, we can enter the front lines. And if anyone has a tip on how we can improve our readiness, this would be much appreciated. And in further Trans-Mississippi Theater news, there was a battle fought at Glorieta Pass. The Union was once again victorious and the Confederacy is withdrawing from New Mexico, and Colorado troops are carrying the day. And the Confederates have now started to press slaves and further supplies into service. As a result, the support among slaveholders starts to plummet. Let's hope that the Confederacy will soon collapse from within. There are still massive amounts of forces in this action, and there's an interesting development in our camp. This is a war of novel technology and ideas, and it is the inventors that keep coming up with ideas that will benefit the nation in gaining the upper hand in the technology race. The inventor accompanying you has recently worked on many projects with fellow men of technology and innovation. He will be able to pull some strings for you, and during the coming weeks you may try to convince the government to focus on certain projects relying on his prestige. While this is definitely something that we can use to our advantage. And we have now received news that winter is officially over. Weather and temperatures no longer hamper large-scale military operations and logistics. Troops are disassembling their winter quarters and are preparing for action, as traditionally spring sees the starting of campaigning season. As large-scale operations will most likely soon kick off, it's advisable to make sure you and your men are as prepared as you can be and enemy movements are observed with care. While fighting during the winter months hasn't really stopped, and we can see that the Union is constructing ironworks in the area. Hopefully those will provide us with the weapons that we so desperately need. Our readiness is slowly starting to improve. And we can see that the fight over here is still going on. Now the Confederates heavily outnumber Winfield's Scott, meaning that he will have to withdraw. Hopefully this is not going to be a massive military victory for the Confederates. On our side, the Second Military Policy Act has now been enacted and the Union strengthens its military. More money for the military, and the politicians are now starting to debate the recruitment of black troops. But unfortunately there are less men willing to renew their contracts. Hopefully though, there are going to be a lot more fresh soldiers, allowing us to send some of our men home to get replenished. Unfortunately for the state of New Jersey, this is still not an option. And the same goes for our New Yorkers, but maybe we will soon get some new volunteers. Union armies on the other side of the Potomac are now once again ready to join the fight, while our soldiers are still suffering from low readiness. And in Western Theater news, there was a battle fought at Shiloh. Union declares victory, and this has so far been the bloodiest battle in the West. We also hear that a Confederate general was killed on this day. And as we have the options to lobby projects more effectively, I think it's a good idea to start with the financing of recruitment officers. This will hopefully give us the manpower that we so desperately need. And in further Trans-Mississippi news, Island number 10 was captured and New Madrid falls into Union hands. 7,000 Confederate forces have surrendered. These are amazing news. Unfortunately, further in the east, things are not looking so good for the Union cause. And in international news, the Mexican intervention escalates. Napoleon III vows to conquer Mexico, which leads to the withdrawal of Spanish and British forces. The French start to push further inland and the Mexican army is in disarray. We can see that Field's Corps is getting deployed in the area and it looks like they're either completely under strength or they're just getting built up. As the Confederate forces start to recruit many more soldiers into their service, they might soon outnumber us. Our readiness is starting to get up and soon we are going to cross the river. Unfortunately, I don't think we can outnumber the Confederate armies, but it looks like they are suffering from low supplies. Union forces are pushing forward. This is our order that we need. Some of the Confederate forces have withdrawn. The 1st Division is now in contact and I'm going to slow down time further. We can see that the 5th Division and the 1st Division together have about 10,000 soldiers, while the 2nd Division together with our 4th Division also number about 9,000 men. Army of the Valley from the Confederates, the Army of Virginia and the Army of Peninsula would outnumber us in a separate engagement, but as long as we attack together we should get the upper hand. And I'm tempted to start the construction of a fort to make sure that the Confederate armies cannot threaten our capital anymore. But if possible, I would like to construct it down here to make sure that the Confederates cannot move so easily. For now we need to wait until more of the Confederate forces have disappeared. And the Confederacy is now starting to print new notes. New greenbacks are flooding the market and the inflation is expected to soar. Public wealth is plummeting, but this is definitely going to finance their war effort. And even though we have started a project to finance more volunteers, so far none are available to send our soldiers home. Well, I stayed corrected, as in fact 185 recruits are available for New Jersey. Meaning that I'm going to send these soldiers from the 3rd New Jersey militia back home, as they are the most depleted. We are also finally able to give them better weapons, but unfortunately no better weapons are available for our soldiers from Kentucky. We are also able to send our New Yorkers home to get replenished. They only have 276 soldiers left. And luckily 570 volunteers are available to get this unit back to strength. And we were also able to exchange the 6-pounder field guns to the 12-pounder Napoleons for the 2nd District of Columbia Battery. This means that our manpower right now is struggling. We only have 3,600 men available, but soon our soldiers are going to be a lot stronger. We need to keep an eye out for the sponge down here, and our study of infantry tactics has been finished. And as we now have some money lying around, we are going to start some novel investments with our inventor friend. There's a chance that he is simply going to run off with the money, but of course there's also the option that we're going to secure a lot more funding for our cause. And the better equipment that we ordered has been given out to our soldiers. Over here our men are still getting slaughtered, and it looks like they are still unwilling to withdraw. Thomas Jackson has now entered the battlefield, and they are charging our lines with over 15,000 soldiers. Unfortunately, the siege over here is still ongoing, and we do not have the option to engage our enemies further in the south. Or well, we cannot order a general assault. If we could, we might be able to defeat the Confederates over in this area and send them further away, and maybe send help over here. It is going to take 36 or 41 days respectively to get our soldiers back, and the 2nd New Hampshire Battery is going to be able to join the fight in about a week. And in lower seaboard theater news, Fort Jackson and St. Philip have surrendered. The Union is victorious once more, and New Orleans is threatened. Our soldiers are now back to green readiness, and we can see that the army of the peninsula is, or was, moving. And we can see that the army of the Shenandoah is also starting to move away. They have 18,000 soldiers, and once they are out of the way, we might be able to attack Jackson's division with 9,000 men. We have the 1st Division nearby together with the 5th Division, and this might be what we need to achieve victory. Let's get the men forward and hope that the army of the Shenandoah is not going to turn around. We are in desperate need of some victories, and this could be what we need. Let's hope that the 1st Division is going to come in to help. Our men are moving up. We have 4,400 soldiers available. The army of the peninsula is coming up. Can we beat them to it? No, we cannot. The army of the Virginia is also there. Let's order our soldiers to hold back. We cannot beat 3 separate armies. Very good. The enemy armies are now withdrawing. I am willing to start a gamble and send our soldiers forward. Once our soldiers have reached their destination, I'm going to start build a fort over here, and with that hopefully protect Alexandria from any further incursions from the southeast. After that we need to get back at Manassas Railroad Junction and build a fort over here so that we can cut off this railroad line. And we have now got the good news that New Orleans has fallen. The Union is victorious and the largest city of the Confederacy is now in our hands. And there seems to be a large amount of resentment towards the military governor. We can see that Confederate armies are now starting to besiege our friends at Manassas. And we have reached our target. And if everything goes to plan, in about 14 days the fort is going to be ready. Let's hope that our friends in Manassas can hold out. They have over 23,000 soldiers against them. and they already lost over 1,200 of their own men. They need to hold out, they need to buy us some time so that we can finish this fort and rush north to support our soldiers. The army of the peninsula is coming up. They have 8,300 soldiers. If they start to engage us, we will have to withdraw. There they're coming up. Is the rest of our army? Yes, the rest of our army is coming up to support us. Very good. And if some of them help out in the construction, this fort might also get ready a little bit quicker. We can see that around Manassas more of our units are starting to rout. And it is only a question of time until the Confederate forces are going to break through. Yes, there are the news. There was a disaster at Manassas Junction and the Department of Pennsylvania is fleeing in a panic. And to stop the construction of our fortifications, the Confederate Army of the Peninsula has decided to charge headfirst into our soldiers. We have about 23,000 soldiers present on the battlefield, while the enemy has about 19,600 men. But we can also see that the majority of our forces are already present on the battlefield, while the first Confederate reinforcements are about to arrive in 34 hours. Today is May 7th, 1862. Our scouts report that the enemy is near the Potomac River, Virginia, and our army is preparing for battle. We are facing the army of the Potomac under command of PGT Beauregard with an unknown strength of men and artillery. The enemy army is green and the morale is reported to be broken. Reports indicate the supply situation is outstanding and the supply state of our own army is outstanding as well. In this fight we are fighting a defensive battle. And we can see that some Confederate forces are already on the battlefield. The most likely way for them to cross is over Ball's Ford or Louis Ford, but of course there are the crossings of the Farm Road and the Stone Bridge. Our men are moving out and our militia brigade is going to position themselves over here. Soon we are going to rearrange some of our soldiers. Our artillery is going to set up on this side, while our New Jersey brigade is going to take up position over here. We can see that the Confederate forces are moving over open terrain, meaning that they might get up here to Island Ford. If that happens, we need to redeploy our soldiers. Or maybe not, as the 1st Division is advancing towards our enemies. Meaning that we also have to send our men forward, and I think right now it's going to be a good call to position our men over here. Maybe we can catch our enemy before they can get behind our lines and use this hill as a good defensive line. Yes, it looks like the Confederate forces are marching exactly where we need them to go. But of course we can see that the 1st Vermont is marching forward and is trying to get themselves killed. The 2nd New York is also coming up. If things go on like this, we might need to rush out even further and attack the enemy head on. And we can see that the soldiers from Vermont and New York are about to get into contact. Therefore, let's get the militia brigade forward. 3rd Brigade, please set up over here. And we can see that fighting is starting. 5th Louisiana is already falling back. Let's get the men even further into contact. And of course, those of our soldiers who can are ordered to send out skirmishers to guard our advance. Our 4th Division needs to march up over here. Apologies. Our 3rd Brigade, that's what I wanted to order. Our 3rd Brigade needs to march up over here. And where the New Jersey Brigade? There's its headquarters. They're also going to march up over the road. If possible, we want to hit the Confederates hard and destroy this army before they can get even more reinforcements. The second US artillery is about to open up. And we are in pursuit of our enemy. Very good. Let's make sure that the soldiers from the New Jersey Brigade are also ordered to fire in long range. And over here our militia brigade is having troubles moving forward. Artillery fire is opening up. They are starting to shell the enemy. And right now it looks like it would be a good idea to attack them from here. Otherwise we could also try to get through the woods, but this could be a difficult endeavor. Well, luckily our New Jersey Brigade can use the roads. And I'm going to order them to set up over here. Our artillery still struggles to get forward. And our militia brigade has almost reached their target. Let's get them forward even further to make sure that we can hit the enemy flank. We can see that the 5th New York is charging up and they're going to be repelled soon. The 1st DC is coming up. And just once I would love to see our soldiers wait until more of them are present on the field before they start to fight. New Jersey is coming up. Let's get the boys closer to the battlefield. Over here our flanking force is coming up. And where is our artillery? It is still over here. It is still trying to get over. Come on, 3rd Brigade over here. And I want our divisional commander to get over here. Now let's get into contact. First New Jersey, you're going to get on the flank as well as those soldiers. I want Miller's detachment to harass the 11th Georgia. And Cadwallader orders us to attack the position that we are already hitting. Our reserves are also ordered forward. And the 2nd is also marching up. We can see that the 5th New York is withdrawing. It was about to be expected. 3rd New Jersey get forward to the enemy. The same goes with the 2nd. And the 1st Kentucky is going to hold back for a small moment. We are starting to outflank the 32nd Virginia. They only have about 200 soldiers, meaning that they should crumble quickly. But we are of course also taking some artillery fire from the 2nd North Carolina Battery. Yes, very good, there's the 32nd Virginia falling back. Let's hope the casualties for our soldiers are not going to be too big. And we can see that our men over here have now entered the battle. I want the 2nd New Jersey to open up on the 1st North Carolina. While the 3rd needs to march forward a little bit to hit the 3rd Virginia. Over here the 4th New Jersey also needs to move forward to hit the 6th Georgia. And these men need to move up as well. Scotland's detachment can now move forward to harass the 11th Georgia. Miller's detachment is already doing a fine job. And we're going to send the 2nd New Jersey militia forward on the enemy flank. Our artillery still struggles to set up, it seems. No. Our batteries have now deployed and start shelling the enemy wherever possible. It looks like the enemy is hitting us with counter battery fire. We have already taken a few casualties. Let's try to drive back the enemy quickly so that we can get more artillery support. The 11th Georgia is trying to push. Let's wipe them off the earth. The 2nd North Carolina battery only has 41 soldiers and 3 artillery pieces. Let's for now focus our artillery, if possible, on counter battery fire. While it looks like our 2nd District of Columbia cannot hit the enemy, still, let's give the order. If we can silence enemy artillery, we are going to save a lot of manpower. The 4th New Jersey needs to move forward, and the same goes with our New Jersey brigade. We are starting to drive back the enemy into the woods, and our Union cavalry is starting to hit the 6th Georgia. They are now routing and fleeing in a panic. We have now achieved a minor victory as the Confederates start to concede from the field. And as soon as the 11th Georgia is driven back, we have an open flank in front of us. I want the 3rd to attack those soldiers, while the 1st Kentucky is going to march up. And we can see that the enemy is on the retreat. We can see that the Union Army so far suffered 57 killed, 246 wounded and 53 men missing. In total we have 356 casualties. On the Confederate side they have 68 killed, 420 wounded, 163 missing, meaning that they have to struggle with over 658 losses. 22% of their entire force have been destroyed, meaning that we can catch some in the retreat. We might turn this into a major victory. Come on, men, move forward. And we can see that the 2nd North Carolina battery is starting to get some hits. 1st Kentucky, open up on these batteries. If we are able to force them to leave their guns behind, this would be an amazing achievement. Everyone move forward. Hit them hard and hit them good. We do not have a lot of time left until the battlefield is going to be over. Our men from Kentucky took 37 casualties. They are under immense pressure from the enemy. Come on, men, open up. You have the 15th Virginia's flank exposed. Yes, there they have to withdraw. In total, the New Jersey Brigade took 56 casualties and the Militia Brigade only took 6. I do not know where the headquarters of our artillery went, but they also took a fair handful of casualties. Kentucky is wavering, but they have dealt with the enemy guns. Let's get the men forward, and we can see that the US cavalry is trying to charge in. Let's hope that the US cavalry can finish them off, but they have to contest against over 500 soldiers. Come on, man, get in there, get them. Yes, we can see that the 5th Louisiana is falling back. Unfortunately, I have lost eyes on our own cavalry. There they are. Let's try to get them forward as well. I'm going to send them forward, and if possible I want them to massacre the North Carolina battery. They are some experienced soldiers, and their loss is definitely going to hurt the enemy. Well, despite our best efforts, it was not possible to catch the enemy artillery crew. But this is not important, as we have achieved victory. In total, over 824 of the Confederate forces have been killed or wounded, while we ourselves only suffered 420 casualties. And I'm very happy to see the headlines in the newspaper. A victory at the Potomac River. Army of the Potomac fleeing in a panic. Lieutenant Colonel Heyman loses face and Colonel Stoll loses face as well. The support for the Rebel Corps wavers. Our soldiers are still looking good and we can see that the Department of Pennsylvania is withdrawn. We unfortunately are surrounded on many sides by Confederate forces, but at least for now we were able to drive them back. And even though pressure is high, I believe we finally have a chance to turn this war around. But this has to be it for the moment. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and until we meet again, I wish you all a great time.